Hello, welcome to Eve's Creative Laboratory. I'm Eve, and today I'm going to start on a new project. Well, I want to make a jelly roll bowl. I've never done a bowl before, but I have made these placemats and I have made little rugs before. So I know how to do the sandwiching of the jelly roll strips with the batting that comes in these rolls. But this time I'm going to make two little gift baskets for a couple of people at work. And I haven't made baskets before, so that's going to be the experiment for today. But I found a jelly roll that I liked. I don't want this to be really holiday themed, so I don't want it to look like it's for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I had this floral jelly roll that I think will work. And the baskets that I want to make will probably be about, I don't know, 8 by 5 inches maybe in size. I think I want to make them little ovals. And I'm not sure yet if I want to put little handles on the top. I've seen them done before in different YouTube videos, but I've never actually done one myself. So I might have to seam rip and redo a couple times, but we'll see. I am estimating that I will just need these 8 strips for the 2 baskets because they're not going to be that big. I made this out of about 1/4 of a jelly roll, and 1/4 of a jelly roll is about 10 strips. So half of this, I might need a couple more strips to do 2 bowls. Let me get a couple more strips just to be safe. All right, I've chosen a couple extra fabrics. So I'm putting in one more of these floral ones because I think I want this to go around the perimeter of the top on each basket. And then I got this one and this one. And I think I'm gonna put the dark one on the bottom because you're not gonna be able to see it really. And then I'll put the more colorful ones up the edge of the basket. But because these baskets are gonna have a relatively small circumference compared to my my placemat, I think I'm gonna cut all of these strips in half. So because my goal is to have about 1 round per fabric on the side of the bowls or baskets. So I think I'm going to cut all of these in half so that the colors can be spread out more throughout the little gift baskets. I think I'm going to just cut them all down the center like this. And then I will sew them together kind of like binding. I'm going to put them together at a 45-degree angle just because I think that might make it look a little bit more interesting. You know what? I'm going to leave these 2 strips long because I want this to be on the final round, and if I'm able to put little handles on the top, I want it to be the same as this fabric. So I'm going to leave these the full width, and then I will cut the rest in half and then split them up into each basket. Now I'm going to split these into 2 piles, one for each basket. I'm going to put the black one on the bottom. So this is going to be the first round because you're not really going to see it that much. And then maybe I'll have like a gradient going up. This one looks a little out of place. One, 2, 3, 4 was from 1 strip. So the whole bottom might be from one strip. So these two. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that a good amount? That might be a little tall, actually. I don't really like this cream colored one. I think I like that better, but I don't like that these two are next to each other because they're the same print, just different colors. And if this is too long for the top, I can always cut it. But I do want to make handles, so okay, I'm gonna do it in this order. Okay, I like that order. And now I'm going to connect these together. I'm just gonna wing it. And then this one, I'm flipping right side up and then sewing this next piece on. So just make sure you're sewing right sides together. And try to sew at a 45-degree angle here, just like you would for binding. That's it for this one. Now let's start the other one. After I cut these apart, I'm gonna trim off this excess so that I can open them up like this, like a regular binding strip. And then I'm going to press them. Then I'm going to add a batting strip. So let me trim all these triangles off and I'm gonna press open. Then I'm gonna add this. Like this. Then I'm going to fold it like this. And sew 1/8 inch away from the edge. So I'm gonna have a super duper long strip of this. All right, I've pressed these two strips with the seams open, and now I'm layering it with the batting strip. I'm putting both of them on the floor so that I can pull up however much I need as I'm sewing. And I'm folding the edges in like this, and then folding this in half. And I will be sewing about 1/8 inch away from this edge to hold all these pieces together in a thick bunch. I changed out my needle to a heavy duty one. And I just cleaned out my machine because when I was trying to stitch regular fabric to test it, it got stuck. I think because it wasn't thick enough. So now I'm gonna try stitching these layers all together. And as I move down, I'm going to use my binding clips to kind of hold it together as I feed it through the machine. But I want to get it started here first so that it's anchored. I have these draped down on the floor, and I'm just going to kind of line them up and fold toward the center like that, and then use a clip to hold all these layers together like that. So let me do a little bit of this. Maybe I'll fast forward through this so you don't have to watch the tedious part. So 1/8 of an inch down this way. So I'm going to use my stiletto to kind of help move this large bunch of fabric under the needle. Oh, maybe I'm going to increase my stitch width or stitch length to 3.5 since this is so thick. Okay, it looks like my tension is good, so I'm just going to continue doing this, and then I'll fast forward through the rest so you can kind of get an idea of how I'm doing it, but this is a little bit slow going. I'm approaching the end of my strip, and I trimmed the batting so that it's on the correct side of the selvage, because I want to fold this over so that there's no raw edge exposed at the very end. But because this needs to taper, like on my placemat, see how this edge tapers down so that it's not obvious that it's ending. I'm gonna clip the selvage off, and this can fold in like that so it kind of hides that edge. So let me finish this up. I am glad that I put the heavy duty needle in there. It hasn't had a problem going through this many layers. And I do remember the first time I tried sewing a rug this way, I had a lot of broken needles because I was just using a universal one. So it's better to have the correct needle in there. Now as we get closer to the end, these are going to get a little bit closer together. Actually, let me cut these down too. Now as I fold these in half, it's going to get narrower and narrower toward the end. Okay, that's done. So for this shape of oval, I started out with this long of a strip at first, but I don't want it to be this wide. So I'm going to start out with a strip I want it to be almost circular, but a little bit oval. So maybe I'll start like this. Maybe I should measure this so I can do the other one similarly. So Let's do 4 inches. I'll mark it. Okay, I'm gonna do the other one exactly like this, and then I'll come back. I set my machine to stitch like this. Can you see? Let me see. Get closer here. I'm doing a wide stitch. Like that, and it's going back and forth, left to right. And I measured 4 inches from the end, and I'm going to fold this over like this. So now I'm going to stitch back and forth this way, all the way down to this end. And my goal is to get, when it stitches on the left hand piece, I want it to stitch on this line so that it's kind of hidden. Okay, that looks okay. The first round is a little bit messy because it's so thick under there. So now the trick is to feed this around so that I can get a nice curve on this edge. And this is where it helps to have a really strong needle, because if you just use a regular needle, it will probably break going through the hem of this fabric all folded over on each other because it's real thick. And I want to give plenty of slack here on this turn so that it doesn't start buckling. The stitches got bunched up. Let me see if I can get a little closer. Hopefully you can see right in there, so you can see where the needle is going. I think this is the trickiest part, trying to get around these tight corners at the very beginning. Once you get the circle a little bit bigger, it goes a little faster. See how I'm trying to get the needle on the left-hand side right by my previous stitching line, or on the stitching line if I can. I just need to make sure that it's grabbing both fabrics as it's going. And then I'm using my stiletto to kind of mush this fabric under there as it turns. I'm trying to get my needle to do one stitch on this left side right by this previous stitching line, and then grab both fabrics as it's going. And it's the most tricky when this round is just beginning because it's really tight curves around here, but as you get going it gets a little bit faster and easier. Okay, after I finish this fabric right here, I'm gonna start tilting the bowl up to start getting the walls of the bowl to start climbing up a little bit. And I have never done this before. I have only seen YouTube videos on how to do this, so we'll see if it works. All right, now I'm gonna start holding this edge up a little bit. This is gonna be tricky while I'm going around this curve too. Oops, sorry. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, this is how I'm holding the bowl up toward the sewing machine to kind of get the walls of the bowl to start going upward. And it's working. And I do think that if you're gonna do a project like this, you really do need a walking foot on your machine because it's very thick. Hang on, this is stuck on my tripod. There. Okay. And you want to just make these two pieces meet, don't overlap them. That's something that I did learn when I did one of the rugs. And I think that maybe my problem with skip stitches was because I was using the wrong needle, because I don't think I've had skip stitches yet in this project. I can't remember if I said, but I have a width of 5.0 and a stitch length of 2.1, and I'm sewing on my Husqvarna Viking sewing machine. So I'm not sure if it's 5 centimeters or not. I don't know if the numbers are universal between brands. Oh my gosh. I'm almost on the last strip. I think I estimated the amount of fabric pretty well. Okay, I think when I get to this side, I'm going to leave a little gap for a little handle, and I'm gonna do one at each end of the oblong, the oval portion. So let's see if I have enough fabric for that. I think I should barely have enough, so keep your fingers crossed. Let me get my clips so that I don't sew too far. Okay, so I want to start about here, and then maybe here. Okay, now I'm coming up to the first clip, and I'm going to stop sewing here. So I need to back tack really well. Okay, now I'm gonna go backwards. Now I'm gonna go forwards and finish. And cut. Okay. Ooh, sorry. Let me zoom out. No, wrong way. There we go. So I have this bowl. I think it is turning out really good. This is exactly the size I was hoping it would be. And like, as you can see, I stopped sewing right here, so I back tacked there. And then I'm going to leave a little gap here as a little handle, and then start sewing again right here. Let me see if I'm gonna have enough. Yes, I will have enough fabric. So I think this is gonna work out really well. So I just need to make sure that this is symmetrical on this side and this side of the bowl. And I think I'm gonna mark it with a, let's see. No, that's not gonna show. I'll just do my friction pen so I know where to this might be a little bit long. I might need to take out a little bit of this because I don't want it to make a second row on here. So I'm gonna mark this right here. And here. So I know that I'm gonna start sewing that together right there. And I marked it on the wrong side. I'm sewing from the inside, so I need to be able to see it from that side. I don't know if you can see this. Let me zoom in again. Yeah. Okay, here. I marked right there. And then I marked right here where this green leaf is right after this black stripe there. So I'm gonna match those up right here. And let me get my presser foot up higher. Oops. There we go. I don't know if you can see that they're lined up now underneath there. Now I'm gonna reverse. Okay, now back. Okay, I'm gonna sew around this side, and then when I get to this end, I'm gonna do the same thing and leave a handle. Let me just measure the gap of the handles so that I can make them symmetrical. It's exactly a 3-inch gap. Okay, I'm gonna mark this edge so I know where to stop. Now I'm thinking of how to end this, and I have seen some baskets that have like a really cute little like swirly flower kind of at the end. So I'll see how much tail I have left after I'm done with this round. And you can see I marked, I think you can see right there. So I'm going to stop sewing there. need to leave this amount of fabric, although I'm just gonna eyeball it. So this handle, gosh, there. I'm just trying to make sure that both handles are the same size before I sew it down. And I think this one's good, so I'm gonna mark it so I know where to stitch or where to start stitching. Okay, I think right at this black dot right there looks pretty good. A little bit less. That maybe. Okay, raise up my presser foot again. Zoom in a little. Or maybe I can leave it out. Is that better? Okay, right there. Where's my mark? Okay, there we go. Oops. I need to start stitching, I think, to tack it down. Now backwards. Now forwards. I think I'm going to overlap this toward the outside of the bowl and then do a little decorative knot or something with this tail end that's still left here. So I'm going to purposefully overlap this like this, so it just tapers down to this side of the basket. There we go. And when I get about to the middle of the basket, I'm going to stop. Okay, so right there, let me back tack a tad and forward and then fix. Oops. And cut. Okay, so this is how this edge ends up. But now I think I'm going to do like a little knot or something. Oh, what about like that? Can you see that little knot? That's kind of cool. And then I can start sewing again on this edge and tack that down. I'm going to do that. I lift my presser foot all the way up. Put this huge knot under. Although oh my gosh, I don't know if this is going to fit under there. Here. forward. And now I'm going to overlap this edge right here and just finish it in this little nook before the handle starts. I'm helping to pull it through in the back so it doesn't get stuck under the needle. Okay, so that's how this part turned out. You can see the stitching from the outside, but I think it's okay. It's kind of masked by the fabric. And then I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. A little decorative knot on the side. I kind of like that. All right, let me clip all the threads off of here. And then the trick is gonna be to make the other basket the same as this. But that's how it turned out. I mean, that's a cute gift basket, right? I think it's cute. Oh, I should put one of my handmade by labels on this. I'm gonna put it on the bottom. I got these cute satin labels with my YouTube channel on it. I'm gonna put this on there. I might have to hand stitch it though. Or on the inside. Should I put it on the inside? Or like on the outside like that? I'll think about it. I'll think about it while I'm doing the other one. Okay, let me do the other one just like this one and hopefully they come out the same. That did not take as long as I thought it would. I finished the two baskets and they turned out relatively similar. I put my label in the bottom. It says handmade with love, Eve's Creative Laboratory. And I like the shape of these. They came out oval like I wanted them to. I wanted them to have relatively steep sides because there's going to be little bottles and maybe gift cards or something in each one of these. They have little handles, and then after the recipients get their, oh look, this space here is a little bit larger than this, and I think maybe it's better small, but that's okay. I think after the recipients receive their gifts, they can use these for candy or something else at their desks at work, because these are going to be for two coworkers who help me out a lot every day. So that was this cool experiment. I'm so happy it actually worked. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next experimental video. Thank you.